This is macOS Ken.
Spending a little gains Apple a lot. The EC says Apple Maps is too small to worry about. And more kinda, sorta comments from Tim Cook. It is Friday, the 6th of February, 2026. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by NordLayer. Secure your network, block threats to your business, and save with offer code macOSken-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/macOSken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSken. Remember last year when Apple shares kept getting the crap kicked out of them because the Cupertino company was perceived to be behind in investing on artificial intelligence? Have you heard what happened this week? A piece from MarketWatch says, through Wednesday at least, Apple was the one bright spot among the Magnificent Seven tech stocks. Apple shares were up 6% for the week headed into Thursday morning, while the Nasdaq had fallen 3%. What was it? Well, for the ones that fell, it was AI exposure. There's concern, according to MarketWatch, that software makers could see their futures crushed once AI learns to do what they do, assuming it ever does. As for the companies investing heavily in AI, that's getting really heavy. The piece says many companies are boosting their capital expenditure forecasts in a way that is sparking concerns about overspending on AI. In 2026 alone, we're talking amounts as high as $135 billion for Meta and up to $185 billion for Google. Meanwhile, the piece says Apple's lower AI capex levels. The company is expected to spend $13 billion on capex in 2026. Those lower levels have become an advantage as the spending patterns of big tech come under scrutiny. Summing up the sitch, MarketWatch had Andrew Graham, founder and portfolio manager at Jackson Square Capital, pointing out that Apple is a software-hardware hybrid where the sum may be worth more than its parts. The piece has him indicating that the Cupertino company may be benefiting as investors move money out of software stocks and look for new opportunities within the tech sector. You know, Apple turns 50 in a couple of months. It is somewhere between interesting and amazing how many times this company can be or has been considered a new opportunity. A rare spot of positive news for Apple from the European Union. According to a finding by the European Commission, Apple Maps and the company's advertising side are too small to be governed by the EU's Digital Markets Act. 9to5Mac highlights a Reuters report on the issue. According to that, the EC says the two services cannot be designated as gatekeepers under the DMA due to their relatively low usage and limited market impact in Europe. Apple's lawyers responded, "Thanks?" I'm kidding. In a statement, Apple said these services face significant competition in Europe, and we're pleased the Commission recognized they do not meet the criteria for designation under the Digital Markets Act. Another tiny update from Apple, this one mostly for older models of Apple Watch. A piece from Mac Rumors says Apple on Thursday released watchOS 11.6.2 for Apple Watches Series 6 through 10, as well as Apple Watch SE 2 and all models of Apple Watch Ultra. Apple says the update addresses a cellular network issue when establishing a connection to emergency services in Australia. Of course, the Apple Watch Ultras can handle watchOS 26.blank, as can some of the other watches in the mix. Those don't have to have 11.6.2, of course. Mac Rumor says yesterday's update will only appear on Apple Watch models that have not already been updated to watchOS 26 or later. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, NordLayer. a toggle-ready network security platform built for today's business. You've known Nord's name for years thanks to their consumer VPN. Built for business, NordLayer does that and a whole lot more, combining VPN, access control, and threat protection in one easy-to-use platform. No new hardware, no huge setup, just secure connection and full control in no time. Not that they're rushing you along. NordLayer includes step-by-step onboarding and 24/7 support, and they're strengthening your protection all the time. They partnered with CrowdStrike to bring Falcon Enterprise Protection to small and mid-sized businesses. That's your business getting enterprise-grade security that's still easy to deploy and manage. They got special rates for teams with 100 seats or more, or get going with just a few users for $8 per seat per month. Yeah, those are good deals, but they have a better one for you. Get up to 22% off NordLayer yearly plans, plus 10% on top with offer code MacOSKen-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/MacOSKen. Try it risk-free with their 14-day money-back guarantee. NordLayer, toggle-ready network security built for your business. Get savings on top of savings with offer code MacOSKen-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/MacOSKen. So this show has always had an editorial voice, and if you didn't hear that, that's kind of a bummer, but this show has always had an editorial voice. Tim Cook said stuff yesterday that I guess was supposed to make people feel better, or was said to have said. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman had Apple CEO speaking to or with employees during an all-hands meeting on Thursday, indicating that he is deeply distraught with the current U.S. approach to immigration. Cook was quoted as saying, "For as long as I can remember, we have been a smarter, wiser, more innovative company because we've attracted the best and brightest from all corners of the world. I am going to continue to lobby lawmakers on this issue. You have my word on that." I'm sorry, but which lawmakers and to what end? Also, what good is that when you turn up at the White House for a vanity screening on the same day federal agents shoot a guy in the back 10 times while he's disarmed and laying on the ground? I got an email from a listener recently that said in part, "My father grew up on the streets of Brooklyn and used to tell me stories about Italian mobsters shaking down immigrant-owned businesses for protection money. He explained why the community didn't blame the shopkeepers or turn on them. These were neighbors. Many came from the same towns in Sicily. They were grocers, shoemakers, milkmen, people who extended credit, fed families, and kept their neighborhood functioning. Everyone understood their dilemma. Refusing to pay didn't mean courage. It meant ruin and replacement by someone installed by the Don. That lesson stayed with me," the email continues. "Tim Cook's job is a tough one, and I think he walked this tightrope with remarkable balance. Apple bends to corruption just enough to survive and fight another day. This isn't moral surrender. It's realism under coercion. To survive and fight another day. What's the fight? What's the fight? Is it just being able to make more money? Because they won that fight." The grocers mentioned in the email extended credit, fed families, and kept the neighborhood functioning. Which of those things is Apple doing for the neighborhood? I had a discussion on Mastodon the other day with someone who said that Cook was bound by his fiduciary duty. Doing what's right and fiduciary duty aren't opposites, they said. But it doesn't mean Cook should avoid or decry someone who is known to be vindictive and can hurt his company. Those without bleep you money have a freedom that those with responsibilities do not. So doing what's right is only for the poors? I was toying with a line the other day. You know how they say you can't win if you don't play? It's like a lotto. You gotta be in it to win it. The current administration flips that. You can't play if you don't win with them. The head of the current administration collects CEOs, celebrities, and various other rich people like trophies. If they all said no, or no thank you, that could have an effect. But what happened to Apple's stock price if Tim Cook started pushing back? I don't know. I guess it would depend on what the administration did or tried to do in response. Here's what I will tell you, though, and I believe this fervently. If Tim Cook pushed back, then went public saying why he was taking the stand he was taking, the public would show up. You would have lines of support, signs of support, and shows of support outside Apple stores like you used to get for new iPhones. Everything's not about Star Trek, but I will tell you a story. When the first season of Star Trek Discovery was streaming, the Star Trek podcast I used to do ran a poll. The question was, do you think a particular character, Discovery's captain, who had been acting like kind of a bad guy? The poll question was whether our listeners thought he was going to end up being a good guy. Rod Roddenberry, producer of our podcast and one of the executive producers on Discovery, thought the question was stupid. He thought it was obvious that the captain was a bad guy. There were two things that he forgot, though. First, he had read the script. We had not. And second, people want to believe. Star Trek fans want their captains to be good people. And our poll bore that out. A majority of respondents said that he would end up being a good guy because we hoped he would be. Sadly, he ended up not being a good guy. So 2 different people in 2 different venues wrote to me saying, yeah, the current administration is, vindictive and corrupt. But that's where we are now. And I guess we're supposed to understand heads of industry kowtowing to that. The thing is, we have laws in this country. Laws that would allow you, me, and Apple to act and, I'm going to say it, think different. For years, people have decried Apple's actions in China and other repressive countries, and Apple has fallen back on being bound by local laws. Laws here would back Apple. People here would back Apple. But that might require Apple backing the laws and the people. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by NordLayer, toggle-ready network security built for your business. Get savings on top of savings with offer code macOS Ken-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/macOS Ken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOS Ken. Advertising handle by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOS Ken at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.